In the heart of the bustling city, inside a towering glass skyscraper, sat Arthur Vance, a self-made millionaire who had built his empire from the ground up. But lately, a disquiet had settled in his heart. Surrounded by wealth and luxury, he felt a growing disconnect from the very people who kept his company running, his employees. He wondered, did they share the values he held dear? Honesty, integrity, kindness? Or was it all just about the paycheck? He decided he had to find out. And so Arthur devised a plan. A test, not of skill or efficiency, but of character. He disguised himself, shedding his expensive suits for the simple, worn-out clothes of a maintenance worker named Al. He wanted to walk the halls of his own company not as the boss, but as an invisible man, to see the true nature of the people he employed. His first day as Al was an eye-opener. He was ignored by executives who usually offered him sycophantic smiles. He was looked through, a ghost in the machine. He cleaned floors, emptied trash cans, and observed. He saw ambition, stress, and the daily grind. But he was looking for something more. That spark of humanity he feared had been lost. A few days in, he was mopping a spill in the bustling cafeteria when a young marketing assistant, Sarah, rushed past, her arms full of files. She tripped, and her papers scattered across the wet floor. Before Arthur could even react, a senior manager barked at her. "Watch where you're going. These floors are a disgrace." He glared at Arthur, then at Sarah before storming off, leaving her on the verge of tears, her hard work now a soggy mess. Arthur's heart sank. Was this the culture he had built? As he knelt to help Sarah gather the ruined papers, another employee, a quiet data analyst named David, approached. "Hey, don't worry about him," David said softly to Sarah. "He's just having a bad day. Happens to everyone." David then turned to Arthur. "Let me help you with this." Together, the three of them cleaned up the mess. David even helped Sarah reprint her documents, telling her, "We've got to stick together here." Arthur, still in his disguise as Al, just nodded, a lump forming in his throat. He had found a flicker of the kindness he was searching for. The next week, Arthur staged another part of his test. He accidentally left his wallet, containing a significant amount of cash and his old, worn ID as Al, in the break room. He watched from a hidden camera he'd had installed, his heart pounding. One person picked it up, glanced inside, and quickly put it in their pocket. Another saw it, nudged it with their foot, and walked away. Arthur's hope began to wane. He felt a profound sadness, not for the money, but for what his theft represented. Just as he was about to give up, a woman from the mailroom, a single mother named Maria, entered the break room. She looked tired, her face etched with the worries of a life lived on a tight budget. She saw the wallet, picked it up, and opened it to find the ID. Her eyes widened slightly at the cash inside. It was more than her weekly salary. For a moment, she just stood there, and Arthur held his breath. He could see the internal struggle on her face. This money could solve so many of her problems. But then she closed the wallet, took a deep breath, and walked straight to the security desk. Arthur watched on the monitor as she handed it in. "I think one of the maintenance staff dropped this," she said to the guard. "His name is Al. Please make sure he gets it back." "I know what it's like to lose something." Arthur had to turn away from the screen, overwhelmed with emotion. This woman, who had so little, had shown more integrity than many who had so much. For his final test, Arthur decided to simulate a personal crisis. As Al, he sat in a quiet corner of the office park, his head in his hands, pretending to be in distress. People walked past, some casting curious glances, but most were too wrapped up in their own worlds to stop. It was the end of the day, and everyone was rushing to get home. Then, a young intern named Ben, who was just about to leave for the day, hesitated. He looked at Arthur, then at his watch. He had a train to catch, but he turned back. "Hey man, are you okay?" Ben asked, sitting down beside him. "You look like you're having a rough time." Arthur, as Al, mumbled a story about receiving bad news from home, about a sick family member. Ben listened patiently, his expression full of genuine concern. He didn't offer easy platitudes, he just listened. After a few minutes he said, "I don't have much, but..." "Here." He pulled a $20 bill from his pocket. "Go get yourself a hot meal. Sometimes that helps." He then added, "My name's Ben. If you need someone to talk to tomorrow, I'm on the 3rd floor. Just ask for me." Arthur was speechless. This young man, at the very beginning of his career, with probably his own student loans and bills to worry about, offered not just his money, but his time and his compassion to a complete stranger, a janitor. The next morning, Arthur Vance walked into the office not as Al, the janitor, but as the CEO. He called an all-company meeting. A nervous energy filled the room. No one knew what to expect. Arthur stood before them, his voice thick with emotion. He told them everything. He told them about his disguise as Al, about his search for the true heart of his company. He looked at the senior manager who had yelled at Sarah. "We are a team," Arthur said, his voice firm. "And we will not succeed by tearing each other down." He then looked at David. "David, your simple act of helping a coworker in distress showed me that teamwork is alive and well." "Thank you." He turned his gaze to Maria, who looked stunned. "Maria," he began, his voice softening, "you found a wallet with enough money to ease your burdens, yet you chose honesty. You chose integrity. You show me that character is not defined by the size of your bank account, but by the size of your heart." Finally, he looked at Ben, the young intern. "And Ben, you stopped for a janitor who was hurting. You offered your time, your empathy, and the little money you had. You reminded me of the most important lesson of all, that humanity is about connecting with one another, especially when no one is watching." Then came the climax of the story, the moment no one saw coming. Arthur announced the creation of the Vance Valor Foundation, an internal program funded with an initial $10 million from his personal fortune. "This foundation," he declared, "will be dedicated to supporting our employees in times of need. It will provide emergency grants, scholarships for your children, and support for community causes you care about." He then announced the foundation's first 3 appointments. "To lead this new initiative, I am promoting David to a new role in HR, focusing on employee wellness and culture. Maria, I am not only repaying you the money in the wallet 100-fold, but I am also promoting you to head of office logistics, and you will be a key advisor to the foundation's board." "And Ben," Arthur smiled, "you may be an intern, but you have the heart of a leader. I'm offering you a full-time management training position and a seat on the foundation's board so that your compassion can guide our company for years to come." The room erupted in stunned silence, followed by a wave of emotional applause. There were tears in many eyes. Sarah, David, Maria, and Ben were surrounded by their colleagues, no longer invisible, but celebrated as heroes. Arthur Vance concluded, his voice ringing with renewed hope. "A company is not its buildings or its balance sheets, it's its people. Today you have shown me that the heart of this company is not just beating. It is strong, it is kind, and it is true. Let's move forward, not just as employees but as a family, building a future we can all be proud of." In that moment, Arthur wasn't just a millionaire. He was a man who had searched for the best in people and against all odds had found it shining brightly in the most unexpected places. He had tested his workers, but in the end, they had tested him, reminding him that the greatest wealth is not what you have, but what you give. Thank you so much for watching. If this story moved you, please consider hitting that like button and subscribing for more inspiring content. We'd love to have you as part of our community. Until next time, remember to be the reason someone believes in the goodness of people.